President Kuroda, Senator Alvarez from the Philippines, since we have ADB in Philippines, thank you. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, President Kuroda has mentioned the two books, and my job is to briefly introduce the content of the book. The first that I'm going to be talking is on this investing in resilience. Okay. This study that I'm going to introduce asks one question. How can we ensure that the actions that we know are required to strengthen disaster resilience are actually taken? Single most questions that what kind of actions we can take. First, we're going to show you this first part of the report says, what's the magnitude of the problem? We got almost between 1970 to 2010, about 40 years of time, 1.7 million hazard-related deaths occurred in Asia. That's more than 50% in the world. That's one number we like you to remember. The second is, as the President Kuroda said, the annual economic loss is about $54 billion. These two numbers are very, very significant. Now, so if you look at one event sometime, one extreme event, and since Senator Alvarez is here, former senator, I'll give the example of the Philippines when we had two typhoons, the Ondoy and the Peping. The loss was about 2.7% of the GDP. Just to mention in the report, that is a very significant issue for consideration by the policymaker. Second, this is a data that I think we're one of the first time we have analyzed to show that it showed the GDP growth, the lower curve. The upper curve is the growth, the losses due to natural disasters, simply to give the message that the rise in disaster losses, and if you compare with the rise in GDP, the rise in disaster losses is much higher. And it's a very important information that we need to see that the disaster losses are rising more rapidly than the region is expanding economically. The man-made factors, there are many in the report, but three I like to point out. One is because of the demographic pressure and urbanization. Secondly, the informal settlements. In the past, the areas which were designated as flood zones are today areas which are construction areas like real estate, as an example. And the third, the issue of natural disaster has become even more important because of the climate change, the IPCC report, to which you are all aware. So the message in this report is disaster losses are not inevitable. They will happen. They will happen. But we will need to know how to manage them. And the report talks that the report looks at the various tools and techniques available and says, hey, these tools are available. The question is why some of these tools have not been used as the way they should have been used. And the next information there is the investment in resilience in the Asia-Pacific is far than adequate, is almost sometimes non-existent in some areas. And there are three types of interventions we can make: the policy, the capacity, and the investment. And on the core need side, you have to assess the risk, reduce the risk, and manage the risk. How to put these three types of intervention and core needs in order to get and handle to the natural disaster is far less understood and actually not very much done in Asia. So we are emphasizing how this could be done. In the report, we have shown there are many opportunities for investing in resilience. We have shown in the report six such important development themes. One on the resilient livelihoods, safe housing, safe schools, safe road transport, risk-sensitive land use planning, and disaster risk financing. The details are in the report. And this is the area which we like to emphasize more, and for a multilateral bank like us, this is very important. What kind of financial instruments we could use in order to manage disaster. And this is not very much used in Asia. And the report shows how this could be used based on the examples elsewhere. The areas that it covers are for example, catastrophic bond, the insurance and reinsurance scheme, the contingent credit, and etc. Let me show you one or two examples. In Mexico, you have the National Disaster Risk Financing Framework, and they've been issuing bonds. In 2006, they had $450 million catastrophe bond, then they repeated in 2009, 2012. These catastrophe bonds are one instrument which has been used, but in Asia-Pacific region, we haven't seen that. The second is the regional risk insurance pools, which can reduce the premium and reinsurance costs. Again, we have cited the examples how this could be done showing the example in the Pacific Catastrophic Risk Insurance Pilot Project. We've also shown how this has been done in the Caribbean Risk Insurance Facility and how these could be taken further in Asia-Pacific region. In summary, there are 3-4 messages that comes out. One, the issue is really serious, as President Crowder also outlined. Number two, we will have losses, maybe even more, but the level of preparation is not enough. The governments could utilize the opportunity to use these financial instruments in addition to what they've been doing so that they will have the opportunity to deal with these issues in the future. That's the report in brief, and I hope you will enjoy reading it, and thank you very much for listening. Thank you.